Welcome to the Wantcast, the Women Against Negative Talk podcast, lessons in moving forward fearlessly and spreading the good word. I'm Katie Horwich. I'm a writer, a speaker, a mindset coach, the founder of Want, Women Against Negative Talk, a platform that gives you tips, tools, motivation, inspiration to shift your negative self-talk patterns, and the author of Want Yourself. Shift your self-talk and unearth the strength in who you were all along. I'm so happy you're here. Let's begin. So today is a really big day on the Wantcast. We are on YouTube now after almost 10 years of this podcast existing. And so what better way to kick off our first solo episode of a video podcast than me talking to you about why now and what has held me back when it comes to doing this thing that feels big and scary. What I'm hoping is that maybe some of it will resonate with you and maybe it can help you A, feel less alone in your own big scary things, and B, maybe help you move forward a little more fearlessly into those things that scare you but that you really want to do. This YouTube podcast thing, it's not a new thing, but it is a new thing to me. Creating a video component to a podcast, that is a daunting task, as is. But when you're creating video for the first time, after doing an audio-only podcast for almost a decade, that is a whole other ballgame. Almost 10 years. That is a lot of episodes over a long period of time. So that's part of the reason why I haven't done this till now. If I'm being honest with you, and you know that I always aim to be honest with you, the real reason why I haven't done this until now, it's a little cringy to admit, but even though I am super comfortable on camera, being the one who is calling the shots, doing the video production feels super scary. So let's back up, especially if you're a little bit new to the Wantcast. I first started the Wantcast in 2015 at the gentle suggestion of my friend Jessica Murnan, who was already in the podcast space and always seems to be ahead of the curve when it comes to these types of things. She told me to start one now. People are going to be doing these all over the place and they're going to be everywhere. So get ahead of it while you still can. And like most things, she was right. I first started the podcast at the table of my apartment in downtown Los Angeles with a blue snowball mic and audio that honestly sounded like I was speaking from a tunnel because I was just a baby podcaster and I had no idea about any semblance of soundproofing. Getting to talk directly to you is one of my absolute favorite things to do. And I've always wanted to do this in video format. However, I've gone through many different iterations of my life, my personal life, my professional life, just like you have over the last 10 years. And I've taken pauses here and there, but I've never fully stopped. And I've credited that to me keeping everything at what feels like a manageable load of things that I can handle in the time that I can handle it. Because I knew I wanted to keep going. I knew I didn't want to burn myself out, and I knew that I didn't want to back myself into a corner that I couldn't get out of, or felt guilty or shame trying to get out of. The thing is, keeping things at a manageable load is great until it isn't. Staying in that manageable zone, I've found, can stunt your growth and make you downright afraid of trying anything new. For a long time, I've been super hesitant to even admit that video is something that I want to do. And whenever people have asked me why I haven't done it, I've given them excuses that are valid, right? Time, money, resources, but the real reason is actually a lot more simple than that. The podcast space has gotten exponentially busier than when I first started in 2015. And it can sometimes feel like everybody is starting out with this hyper-produced, polished product right off the bat. I, however, am a team of one, doing the best with what I know, the resources I've got. And when it comes to the stuff I know, I've gotten pretty good at it. And yes, having a team helps if that's something that you have the resources to be able to fund. But the truth is that not having a team usually doesn't actually keep you from doing the things that you want to do. It only keeps you from doing the things you want to do perfectly. The real reason that I haven't done this until now is because I've been doing the same thing for a really long time, and I know that I do it well. It now feels scary to what feels like go back into beginner mode. And on top of that, to do it publicly. Comparing yourself to others who seem to have perfected something, whether that's actually true or not, it can make it super scary to venture out of the thing that you have been doing that you feel comfortable with. It can make the most confident people doubt themselves, and it can make even the most professional of professionals feel like they don't know anything. That, of course, can lead to worries that your expertise will be questioned, or your entire body of work if we're really going down that anxiety spiral. And I'm mentioning this because this doesn't just happen with YouTube podcasts, right? This happens in life. I hear it from my friends, my colleagues, single people, married people, parents, grandparents, fitness instructors, consultants, CEOs, performers, people with thriving small businesses, people who have that itch to be entrepreneurial. It happens all over the place. Comparison is a bitch. And I've been alive and working long enough to know that the comparison trap doesn't disappear. It just shapeshifts along the way. Comparing yourself or your thing to someone else or their thing isn't about the person or the thing. It's about you and your relationship to the thing. So I'll use myself and the Wantcast as an example. When I first started the Wantcast, I used to compare my podcast and myself as a podcast host to all of my other favorite podcasts out there, which was great at first because it gave me something to strive for. It helped me set a bar for myself. It was a great source of inspiration. But this also meant that eventually my self-talk around the podcast was all about how it stacked up to other people's podcasts. And eventually that inspirational feeling, that disappeared and it became plain old comparison. I broke out of it by recognizing that I needed to stop being what was essentially the second best someone else, and needed to start to figure out who the first best me was. I worked and I worked and I worked, and I made that my driving force instead. This idea and question of who am I in this new medium? What makes me the most me? And of course, that comparison flickered in and out because I am a human and not a robot, and you can't really get rid of comparison entirely. But the majority of it started to fade away into the background, and I found that at least some of it disappeared entirely. Now let's fast forward to now. The comparison is loud, and this time it has accomplices who sound a little bit like, "You've been doing this for so long, don't screw up a good thing. You have literal decades worth of experience. Doing super basic video is going to make you look like an amateur. People might not take you seriously anymore if they see what you look like when you are recording," etc., etc., etc. And this, I can tell myself, has everything to do with how expertly produced other people's podcasts are. But this, in reality, has nothing to do with how expertly produced other people's podcasts are. In reality, this is simply about me. It's not even about my desire to put out a really wonderful, useful product, because that desire always exists. I am never going to publish anything or share anything with you that I don't think is useful. This is about me and my discomfort with doing things imperfectly publicly. My discomfort around letting on that I am still figuring things out. And let me tell you, it is an unhealthy and unhelpful pattern for me to continue to perpetuate. So when you start to notice unhelpful patterns, you can do one of three things. You can stay the same. You can pivot entirely if you know what you're pivoting toward. Or number three, you can intentionally expose yourself to the not knowing and figure it out along the way. For me right now, it's all about option three. That means getting this video recorded and getting it up and out into the world, and then doing another and another and another and figuring it out as I go. The reason I'm doing this now and not 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 3 years ago or 1 year ago is because I know what I want to do and where I want to do it, and I can no longer avoid that the only person who is holding me back is me. Now, I don't yet know how to do this thing well, let alone perfectly. And I don't have a built out multi-year plan for myself or this channel. But the thing is, I know myself really well. And I know that while I love a plan, and a hyper-specific plan can be super helpful many times, I also know that it can hold me back. When certain things feel scary and I decide to make a plan, sometimes what can happen is I can get trapped and obsessive over creating that plan. However, planning is different than doing. And when I get stuck in that planning cycle, it makes the doing feel more and more scary. When you just plan and don't do, it reinforces that comparison trap. Even if you're someone who has a pretty healthy relationship with fear, you can get stuck in it. And all of a sudden you find yourself scared, waiting for these perfect conditions to exist. So if you go and subscribe to my channel, it's a gentle plug, but this is not the point where I plug subscribing to my channel. If you go and subscribe, you will also see that I've posted some videos of me singing. This is also a terrifying thing for me. Not the actual singing itself, but the posting of it. But not only do I want to have opportunities to sing more, I want people to know that this is something that I do. So that means that I need to share that I do it up there for anyone to see. Similarly, I want to produce more videos. I want to do more podcasts and stuff that just lives on the YouTube channel. I want to record more video of the interviews that we do on the Wantcast and publish those so we can get those conversations out to you in a different way. And it's not that I'm not comfortable on camera. I'm very comfortable on other people's podcasts. I'm very comfortable on freaking live national TV. It's not an uncomfortability around being on camera. It's a discomfort around being the one who's calling the shots. Because when I'm calling the shots, whatever's put out there is 100% my responsibility to own. And that's scary. So that's my thing. Your thing might be something different. When it comes to comparison and those unhelpful patterns that keep you stuck, maybe you've noticed a pattern in your romantic relationships or your friendships. Maybe you've noticed a pattern in the work that you take on. Maybe you've kept things manageable or familiar for a little too long. Maybe you've realized that comparison and discomfort have sort of taken the reins in your life. And to you, I say, I get it. This is normal. This means that there's a part of you that cares, really cares. That caring is precious. Honor it. Don't not give a. Not giving a and not caring is so not cool. But also, now might be the time to sort of push back on that idea that caring and comparison are siblings. Caring can actually be the antidote to comparison. So check in with what you actually want, like really, really want. Then take your next steps from there. Way too often, we forget that it is essential for us to be the leaders of our own lives, that we listen fiercely to ourselves and that we call our own shots. That just like any leader in any workplace, we recognize our strengths, not just our deficiencies, that we're both compassionate and assertive with ourselves, because that's what you would want in a leader, right? Someone who would help you maximize what you're best at and grow through the things that need a little love. who'd provide you with opportunities and help you figure things out along the way? Yeah. So I am choosing to be the leader in my own life. I'm going to be sharing new YouTube episodes every single week. I am slowly but surely going to be uploading old Wadcast episodes onto YouTube for people who like to listen there. And I'm going to be publishing new and previously unseen video from both upcoming episodes and interviews that we've already done. And that feels really daunting to me, but 200 something episodes don't just magically appear without that first one being published. So I would be so honored if you joined me on this journey. As they say, like and subscribe to this podcast and maybe even share with a friend. And if you were thinking of starting something new, but we're holding back because you don't know everything, you don't have a team, you don't have it figured out, maybe today is the day that you become your own leader. And maybe we can be brave together. Maybe we can both allow ourselves the opportunity to grow. Thank you so much for spending this time here with me. I know your time is valuable, and I am just so thrilled and honored that you choose to spend your time and energy with me, with us on the Wadcast. As always, move forward fearlessly, spread the good word, and be the you know you're meant to be. I'll see you next time, and this time, really see you. Take care. Bye-bye.